Hey guys, Liana here, trying another video. Before I get started, yes, the sound is not pristine quality. It sounds airy, but I tried 3 configurations before I started today with 3 different microphones, and this was the one that sounded the best. For some odd reason, when I attempt to do anything on mini jack, I get that weird fading out thing that's happening. So this is a stable sound, and I figured it's better than having people not be able to hear it, than irritating some audio files. I wish it could be better, but it's not, and I'm doing the best I can for now. And there's some stuff that I think is important to talk about, and so I'm talking about it on my own YouTube channel so it doesn't get anybody else in trouble. And I'm playing Far Cry 4 because it's pretty. There's been some stuff going around now where it's like a best of times, worst of times thing. There are a lot of new-ish female writers, at least new to me. People like, oh god, I forget her handle, Stephanie over at Ship 20. And Georgie on the Go over at Tech Raptor and people like that. There's a lot of women who are trying their hand at game culture writing, and that's amazing. I think that's great. What isn't so great is the backlash to what they've been doing. And I wanted to talk about this because this didn't happen to me when I was starting out, when I was in their position. And I think it's wrong, and I want to do my little part to do something about it. When I was starting out, it was more the paradigm of, oh, you're a girl, what do you know? Which is one kind of annoying, but you're sort of, I don't know, more prepared for that, if that makes any sense. You expect people to be sort of uninformed idiots about the whole thing, and you sort of gotta earn your cred that's expected, the whole get good thing. And there's that understanding that when you start, you haven't totally developed your style yet, you haven't found your professional voice, you're still figuring it out. Nobody starts flawless. Everybody starts at level 1 and works up. So I think it's great. They're doing it, and they're getting some attention for their articles, and they're getting some good dialogue happening. But both of these ladies have offended the powers that be, for lack of a better term, and they've been subjected to, I won't even say criticism, because criticism is based on stuff you've actually done. Criticism is based on your actual words and your actual actions and your actual opinions, not words people put in your mouth, or my favorite one is paraphrased. Paraphrased is another word for misquoting by a prettier term. And I'm speaking up for ladies like Stephanie and Georgie right now. And you know what? All the new writers right now. Because I'm sort of in a position right now where these things don't affect me the same way that they would how do I say this? A new writer. They don't impact, oh, I see what I have to do. I have to map this crap. No, I don't want that. I want this. Why can't I this? Whoops. Okay, well, that was effective. Not pretty, but effective. But that's sort of how I handle problems, you may have noticed. Yeah, I thought oh, here's this weird music for the masks. It's creepy music. But, I'm, as you may have noticed, a real advocate for women in the video game industry, and that means all women, not just the women I disagree with. I went out of my way to respect, Anita Sarkeesian as a person, as I criticized her work product, and I wanted to be very distinct about that, because work product, I mean, I've worked in TV. I know that sometimes you have the best of intentions, but things just don't, things don't go the way you intended them to. Things come out sounding harsher than you intended, or more cynical than you intended, or weirder, and that's just the business. You have to sort of be prepared to be wrong every so often, and be prepared to accept fair correction. What I don't support is the outright abuse people fling Anita's way. I've never supported that. I've never liked it. I've spoken out against it. And that doesn't change just because her so-called fans were bloody horrible to me. It was beyond a little bit mean, Damien Schubert. Thanks so much. It almost made me quit the business. This lack of empathy just kills me. And I speak out because people are like, just ignore them. Don't poke the trolls. Well, the thing is, these people aren't trolls. These people are activists. And activists and trolls aren't the same thing. Trolls are people just looking to cause trouble for shits and giggles. They don't have their hearts in it. They don't actually care about the issues. These people do care, to the point it's, you know, the thing that's been going around, no bad tactics, only bad targets mantra. And that's just so wrong. That's just so wrong. And to me, when we get that, we've got factional identity politics. We don't have political activism. We don't have greatest freedoms for all happening. And that puts me off for obvious reasons. Oh, hi, Bear. Hi, Bear. No, please, Bear. Come on. Let's be friends, Bear. Oh, no. Not making that mistake again. Bear. Oh, great. The phone's ringing. Sorry, guys. Phone's ringing. We'll cover up the phone with the sound of bullet fire. There we go. Sorry. Whoop. Hello? 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 Why are there dudes? Oh, because I haven't liberated this area. But, you know, these enemies aren't sexualized, so it's okay to kill them. Because as long as a woman's wearing a burqa, it's okay to mow them down in the new paradigm. I'll be addressing that in an article soon. Don't worry, guys. But there's a perfect example of me criticizing an idea and still thinking the person should be about to... Where are you, wolves? Where are you? Where are you, Twitter trolls? I hear you. Oh, I think you're down I think you're down there. No? Where are you? Okay, I'm just going to go about my business. But I think it's totally fair for people to fairly examine, and I wish we could get more onto a paradigm of examination where it's actual proper critique, which is, I agree with this, I disagree with this, instead of focusing on only the disagreements. That drives me crazy. I was actually talking about this on Sargon's stream the other night. Sargon and I were having a bit of a laugh of it, because what else can you do? The people that are like, I don't agree with you, but if you're not going to get into details about, that's a really annoying audio loop, so I'm going to move on, because this cannot be fun to listen to. It's, oh, now you're going to find out what a terrible driver I am in this game. Whee! But we were talking about the fact that people seem to focus on disagreement instead of, I found this point in what you wrote really resonant. And if you feel, if you feel like you should be going, I'm not so sure about this section of what you wrote or what you said, but this point I can totally get behind. That is objective, fair critique, guys. Focusing entirely on the negative, is not. It's not. If you can't say one good thing about a professional piece of writing, you're not being objective, because there's often something salient in an article, even if you don't believe, even if you don't agree with the bulk of it. I mean, classic example, Leah Alexander, I pretty much disagree with 70% of what she writes. We come at games from very different perspectives. But I admire her chutzpah. I do. She keeps doing it. She keeps saying it. She keeps saying what is important to her. And I'm good. I admire that. I'm glad, because one of the things I have had to work on, and it's really held me back in the past, is being too afraid to speak my mind, too afraid of not criticism. Criticism is one thing. It's the ostracization of unpopular ideas that has made me very intimidated in the past. And that is a form of social aggression. It's, the whole queen bee thing. It's not anything to do about what you have to say. Oh, this is probably creating sonic sludge. I'm going to shut up for a minute. Your car broke down? I love Robbie Ray Rana, by the way. I love him. You want me to fix your car? Fix your car. There we go. Come on. Fix. I've always had a problem with this element. Oh, right. You have to use it like a weapon. Whee! I'm being useful. There we go.
Hey, come here.
I already did. Hello? Talk to you. All right, give me money. I like those conversations.
I owe you my life.
No, you don't. I just fixed your car. Anyway, so we're back on the road. That's pretty, huh? That's a pretty bit of environment right there. And this is what I love about this game, is that I'm in one of the more advanced parts right now. You see the leaves? I mean, I've completed the campaign of this game, so yes, I'm in a more advanced part. But you see the leaves? This is a bit of de facto difficulty built into the environment, and I love it, because Pagan Min's enemy soldiers are in red, and the Golden Path are in blue. And hi, Convoy, I'd steal you normally, but I have nice people I'm talking to. But this red foliage, we'll use the fancy word, makes the enemies harder to see. And it uses the environment. See how he kind of blends in? That guy up there, he's harder to see than in earlier parts of the game when the environment is green. I think that is a slick little bit of very natural difficulty using the environment. I think that's great. Good for Ubisoft. And I don't know if you noticed, that had nothing to do with the political elements of a game. And this is where I had to sort of learn. This is something the whole Gamergate controversy taught me. I won't say it's entirely pro Gamergate. And I won't give anti credit for this either. It was the debate that made me realize this point. And it was because it was something I was already doing anyway. Stop it, phone. Something I was already doing anyway without being conscious of it. And that is that I did deal with the politics in a game, if it was present. I'm not going to get on a big political treatise about Bulletstorm. That's not the purpose of it. But if a game deals with politics the way, Far Cry does, I'm going to examine its take on it. I'm not going to say it's bad for agreeing with me or disagreeing with me. Bad for agreeing with me? That would be some serious self-loathing right there. What is this purple dot? So, I realized I was already sort of unconsciously weighing, the reality that games do have narratives, and they should be. Gotcha. Games do have narratives, and these narratives should be examined because they created the narrative. They want people to engage with the narrative. Of course we should engage with the narrative. Wolfpack, I'm being attacked by the Young Turks? No. Wolf-pack.com, go away. That was a really bad leftist comedy joke. Wolf-pack.com is a political group run by the main guy in the Young Turks. It was another example of a guy who I don't agree with all the time. Of course I don't. But I really like the way he expresses his ideas. I like his passion. And I learned through disagreement with him. But what was I talking about before? I was talking about the reality that, yes, if there's a heavy political... go away, eagle. Like, I'm not going to claim that eagle constantly attacking me is some sort of symbol for American Manifest Destiny. No, I'm not. That would be stupid. But this game does deal with, you know, drug economies and traditional child marriage and things like that. And those are fair things. And guys in creepy goat masks that I'm tracking by sound. Those are fair things to examine if they're actually in the game. But you can't spend all of your review focusing on just the political issues because, yeah, take that, eagle. They're freaking huge, eh? That's a lot of KFC right there. Most people do not completely judge a game by its political message. And that's why, as a reviewer, you can't just focus on political message either. If you want to, there you are. If you want to focus on a particular part of the game, a particular element, like, you know, for instance, if I wanted to do, you know, passive difficulty via environmental color palettes in Far Cry 4, that's a feature. You know, that's a focused essay. That's not, they say that's not an objective review. And I think it's that language is getting us into trouble in the debate. The reality is it's not a comprehensive review if you spend a third of your column space talking about the political messages in a game. If you want to talk about the political messages, do the review and then do a feature. Because then you get twice the readers anyway. I don't understand why people are so opposed to that. You get more traffic by generating more content. It's, you know, and you can, yaks. I try to save you, yaks. I try not to attack you. I show you only love. You give me only hate. So, that's what I don't understand about this pitched battle about review formats. Because I admit, when people were freaking out about reviews, I won't say I read very few reviews. There are some reviewers I like. They're similar to me. There aren't many reviewers that have a similar approach to games as me. So there are, you know, 2 or 3 that I'll read and go, all right, this is all right. I'll, you know, but I won't, I'll make up my mind based on whether I'm like, okay, I wouldn't really focus on that or not. And there are a lot of games that I don't need politics in a game. I don't need a strong social message to enjoy it. Whatever a game does, I want it to do well, period. Right? So that's where I'm coming from. And I admit that I started to realize it's kind of tough to find that in reviews now. And it's this thing where instead of having a knee-jerk reaction to something, I don't understand why other people didn't do what I did, which is try to figure out what people were saying. It wasn't that they it wasn't that they were saying that reviewers aren't allowed to have opinions and we have to be, you know, bug bots. We have to be like, you know, fault reports on games. It's that they want comprehensive coverage of a game in a review. They want a review to be able to inform them, should I buy this game based on a set series of criteria. If you're wondering what I'm doing, guys, I'm going and collecting those weird goat masks. That's what I'm doing, because I'm done the campaign. You know this, because I reviewed it. But, you know, there's absolutely nothing wrong with a group of consumers saying, no, we want game reviews that are actually useful to us. And when you go on and on and on about a political point in a review, you're wasting space that could be used to talk about other equally important elements. The issue is not that it's not objective, because of course it's very hard to find a totally objective game reviewer. Everybody has their preferences. You know, I couldn't even review Titanfall. It made me actually physically nauseous to play that game. So I can't really, I guess you could say I'm biased against that game because it made me want to yak. But everybody's like that. Everybody's got their things. And sometimes it doesn't even make any sense. Sometimes it's just the game absolutely rubbed me the wrong way. For instance, I have a very bad relationship with the Witcher series, not because, well, I don't like the games. I just don't like the Witcher games, period. I think the writing is amateurish. There are certain things in that game, like the inventory management system, the combat controls, the maps, that are not true AAA level. That's just my opinion. But also, the reason I got into that game series in the first place, here's a little background about me, was I had a few people pushing me, guys, pushing me, play The Witcher, play The Witcher, play The Witcher, you're just like Triss Marigold, you should cosplay Triss Marigold, you should cosplay Triss Marigold. Do I have to play The Witcher 1 first? No, you don't have to, just start a Witcher 2. The first time you see Triss Marigold in The Witcher 2, or at least one of the first times, early on in the game, she is bare-ass naked. And when, oh no, would you like my mask? Would you let me make one for you? My lord speaks your name, it will be an honor. This is supposed to be creepy. But, you know, people were like, oh hey, level up. When you try to empathize with me right now, guys. I shouldn't say you, this is my experience. I felt, I don't even know what the word is. I felt like it was extremely disrespectful for people who were supposed to respect me as a person trying to talk me into cosplaying a character with a game that has, you know, it's not just sexualized content, it's that, you know, if you know anything about the backstory of The Witcher from the books, is that there's this triangle between Triss and Geralt. Like, I always pronounce it, I don't know if it's Geralt or Geralt, I don't remember. I want to say Geralt because I've got a friend that's named Gerald. But, you know, him, Yennefer, and Triss, there's this love triangle, and Triss is very quietly, in a lot of ways very stoically, madly in love with Geralt, but he's like soul-bound to Yennefer because of this ritual before he got killed, enjoyed the wild hunt, and all this stuff. And all this stuff is prequel in the books that, you know, it serves as background to the game. And that, I think, is a very neat approach to an adaptation. Instead of starting from the bottom, or starting from the beginning and retelling the whole story, they picked it up where the books left off. I thought that was kind of clever. But the problem is that Triss in the books is a heavily scarred brunette. She's got this big, In the games, they put her in Polish Playboy, man. Like, there's no, there's nothing plain Jane about her in the books, and okay, that's okay. But the thing that really struck me about, you should cosplay Triss Marigold. Anybody that knows anything about me should know I am not going to cosplay a woman who loses her influence at court and gets called a whore the entire game. Not just a whore, the Witcher's whore. The entire game, because she decided to have, she decided to have a physical relationship with a man she's in love with. Who would ever think I'd want to cosplay that? We know why. We know why these guys suggested cosplay Triss Marigold. Because she's naked, and you get to buff her. And in the games, I find Triss just way too passive, and I'm interested, kind of interested, kind of dreading, adding, I don't know if I'm going to get her name because I might confuse it with the Far Cry 3 character, Citra. She's a female Witcher from the books. But I mean, in the books, there are scenes where Triss is like throwing down, like just, she's sassy in the books. She's not this, oh, okay, passive little dove that she is in the games. And I think that CD Projekt took a really great female character and ruined her. And they did it in a way that didn't make any sense. You know, a game can be a raging patriarchy. It can, but the Witcher games are an RPG, and you never have the opportunity once as a player to go, cut it out, and, through the playable character. This is the woman you're sleeping with. This is a woman who, unless you're completely blind and stupid, she's in love with you, and you let people call her a whore? The game is forcing the main character to be a jerk. That's bad game design. An RPG is supposed to be about player freedom. If they wanted to make The Witcher an action game, and, have a hardwired character the way they do in Uncharted or God of War or Hitman, if they wanted to do that, fine. I wouldn't have the same complaints. It's because the game is praised for player choice. And I think that's false praise. I think that instead of a lot of choice in those games, you're given very obvious choices. You're giving narrative choices. You're not given those little organic choices I expect in an RPG where you can react as your character just to role play. And one of the side effects of that not great game design in that way is that it sends some, I want to believe, unintentional messages about women in that world. And that was just, see, there's the intersection point of something I didn't like personally. I really had a bad reaction. Like, I can't put words to how angry I was, how played I felt when I finally played this game. And it's like, this is what you think of me? And then the guy got really, really mad and tried to dox me because I told him, like, okay, you're not allowed to make fun of me for liking Dragon Age anymore because you can't handle, me saying, I think, I don't like this game. I don't want you talking to me about it. Yeah, he was perving. He was freaking perving, man, and he couldn't even admit. If he could admit, like, yeah, okay, I was wrong. Fine. But you don't do that to a person you consider a friend, man. You don't perv on them like that. There are limits and there are boundaries, and this is why we can't have nice things. I don't want to spend all my time talking about gender issues in games. God, there's a lot more. I don't know if you guys notice my playstyle. I like to run into the middle of things with shotguns. A lot. I don't want to I would be happy to never have to talk about gender and gaming again. But I see stuff on both sides of the equation that make it impossible for me to ignore it. And one is the way, some gamers do take liberties with sexual content that way. They don't address it maturely. And, but there is a perfect example of, come on. This is the problem with, this is the problem to running into close quarters fighting. You take a lot of damage. But it's fun. Bye-bye. But, hey, karma event complete. But, that's one thing we have to talk about. But that's not, a couple guys being idiots is not a large-scale problem in gaming. It's an experience I had with one person or two people. And I had another issue with that game that an editor of a website flat out would not accuse me of wanting to ban any content about The Witcher about the site because I wanted acknowledgement of the problems with the game from a writing perspective and from, if you're going to praise a game, you have to be objective in your praise as well as your criticism. And you have to be able to back up a statement and not... I think that it takes more intellectual heft for someone to say, this game had these problems. I liked it, I recommend it despite these problems because I think it has something to offer in other areas. And isn't this the debate we've been having? But instead, and I am getting back to the original topic here, instead of having this, fair, intellectual, needed debate, we're fighting about, who's the right kind of woman to promote in games. Here's the right kind of woman to promote in games, all women. Here's the right kind of man to promote in games, all men. It should not matter what a person's political stripe is, what a person's political affiliation is, if they can create a valid argument. If you take, a mainstream publication, and I know it's not popular right now, but one mistake doesn't get rid of all their decent reporting. You look at the New York Times. The New York Times has conservative columnists like David Brooks. Love is weakness is a cliche. And here I felt, oh, this is Yuma. I like Yuma. Yuma was one of my favorite characters in this game. Okay, nice. But if you look at the New York Times, they have conservative columnists like David Brooks. They have liberal columnists like, Gail Collins. I think that's her name, Gail Collins. And Paul Krugman. And there's a balance. But the thing they all have in common is that they're technically good writers. They can voice their opinions well. They back up what they say with an argument. It doesn't always have to be facts because some of the stuff can get pretty philosophical and there are no facts. It's a new issue. It's speculation. But at least there's some, inductive reasoning in it. Oh, getting warmer. And that's what a person of any gender in op-ed should require. It shouldn't be membership in a particular political club. And so I'm seeing these women like Georgie, like Stephanie, who, they have obvious talent. They have a lot of potential. Because, they have that thing. They're willing to go out there and get the story, and they're willing to speak their truth. And they should be praised for that. And it's not like anybody's saying, anybody's perfect in this industry, but, we should praise them for having the natural, for having, the natural prerequisites for having the tools to succeed in something that I don't know why anybody would even want to get into now. And I totally mean that. I totally mean it when I say I have no idea why anybody, you'd have to really love games or really have a massive political agenda to want to get into video game writing at this point, because it's a lousy place for everyone. You know, forget this lousy place for women right now. It's a lousy place for everyone. Now, I think that can be fixed. I'm saying that because I don't think it's inevitable that it's always going to be like this. And I think that to me, it seems like there are some simple breakdowns in communication and just a few basic ground rules that are not being followed that's leading to a ton of unnecessary unpleasantness. And it's also unnecessary. You know, if you think Georgie or Stephanie made a mistake, or if I made a mistake in something we've reported, well, tell us. We want to fix it. We want to make it right. This going on a Reddit and roasting us with no attempt to talk to us first or try to solve the issue, solve the disagreement in a more, a less dramatic way. It doesn't solve anything. It's showing off to your friends when you do it that way. And this isn't supporting women like they claim. I mean, at least we've hit the point with Gamergate that they were admitting over the weekend that they're not really feminists and they're not even that left-wing. They just hate Gamergate. I was like, all right, at least the people that said that are honest. But what I don't understand is if they hate Gamergate so much, why are they lumping in people who do not affiliate with them and who just want to treat people like people like myself, like Stephanie? I'm not sure right now what Georgie's affiliation is, so I don't want to speak for her. I know Stephanie has said she's a neutral and, has taken a lot of garbage for that. Which is silly because Stephanie, Georgie, and I are writers. We're supposed to stay neutral on a major subject like this. We're supposed to stay neutral and talk to people we believe have something to say. And this has become the big issue, is that, when, and maybe it's just the people that I talk to, or maybe it's just that my particular communication style meshes better with certain types of people. But I have found when you try to talk to a moderate Gamergate supporter, I'm not talking about the fringe element. Of course not. We should take the fringe element out of either side, out of this equation, because you're not going to get anywhere. If you talk to a moderate Gamergate supporter and you push them on some of the things that have happened, they'll be like, yeah, I didn't agree with that, or, okay, you can have a debate, and sometimes it'll get heated, won't deny it, but there's a dialogue going back and forth. And it used to be that I could have a dialogue with anti-Gamergate people too, but they just, the ones that would still talk to me just completely, it's like, oh my God, suddenly I'm evil because I got a job. And it's crazy, the thinking that way, because the assumptions that are being made about various professional organizations, developers and websites and things like that, being pro or anti, the vast majority of websites want to be places that are big tents. They want to be places where all gamers can come and feel welcome. That's what the average gaming website wants right now. And this is the thing I think really needs to be promoted more than anything, is the places where everyone is welcome. Not the people that agree with you. Everything. Because I'm tired of having to worry that, you know, and I want to be clear here, guys. I focus on women because I feel like this is where I have something unique and salient to offer. It isn't because I think only women should be being employed in games. I focus on women because I am a woman. I understand what it's like to be a woman in this industry. I can perhaps voice things that other women can't. It's not that I think men don't have a place. Please don't think that. This is, what's the word I'm looking for? This is what I feel I'm especially good at talking about. It's not the extent, the complete extent to who I think belongs in the gaming industry. I mean, if you follow my, you know, Twitter feed at all, I'm a big fan of you know, Yahtzee. I follow, you know, a lot of male writers. I read a lot of male writers' stuff. I don't turn down interviews from male interviewers. You know, I interview tons of male devs. It's just that I'm in a unique position coupled with a unique need right now to support the women who are just getting into the games industry, trying to, you know, speak their truths at a very difficult time. And I think they should really be commended for their bravery on that point, because I'm not sure that if the game climate had been when I started the way it is now, I'm not sure I would have gotten involved. And I'm not sure, maybe I would. There was a different kind of weird back then. But it hurts very specifically when you're demonized by the people who are supposed to be, you know, we're fed this load of crap about the sisterhood, which may have existed at one point, but the sisterhood's been replaced by cliques. And I can't imagine what it's like now to be starting out and get your first chance. And you know, I think every writer can relate to the idea of that excitement you feel when you see your name in you know, the byline for the first time. And I feel like that experience, that thrill, that, you know, amazing newness of the whole process is being robbed from some really cool new talents because people are just so miserable at everything and they're putting politics over people. And the problem with putting politics over people is that if you don't have people, you have no politics. So if you run everyone out of the industry that disagrees with you, you're not even preaching to the choir anymore. Here's the goat. You're not even preaching to the choir anymore. You're preaching to an empty church. And I don't care about the people that just decide to be nasty. I care about the people that have something to say and aren't getting the support they deserve because of something they didn't create, they didn't start, they have no control over. And no one should ever be demonized for taking an opportunity when they find it. And so this was a very long-winded, good for you, Stephanie, good for you, Georgie, good for all those guys that decided they have something to say. There, shout-outs. Good for all of you. Good for stepping up and feeling like your voice matters, because it does. It does. We need opinions, we need viewpoints. That's the entire purpose of an intersectional approach. And I want to read people's stuff, even if I don't agree with it. If it's well argued, if it's well written, if it comes from a place of, if you can tell a person legitimately loves games and legitimately loves the game community, I will listen to you. Even if we disagree on every point. If I think you legit love games, awesome. You know, it's when people start sounding jaded and cynical and like they're doing the broader cultural context thing. Nah. These are supposed to be fun. Games are, you know, if you go to that immersion theory, you know, that Clint Hawking talked about wanting to be taken to a completely different place, well, no, broader social context doesn't apply. It doesn't, because it's intended to sidestep broader social context. It's supposed to immerse you in a world so complete that you forget about the social context of the real world. That's the magic of games. And if you get that, and if you love that, and if you want to write about that because you think you have something worthwhile to say, I will absolutely support your attempts, even if I don't, you know, necessarily agree with you. I don't even feel this need to say I don't agree with anything and everything someone says anymore, because of course I don't. Right? Whoops, I just shot a guy in the back. Oh, violence against women, oh no. Oh, crap. Alright. This is getting crazy. So I think I'm going to sign off now. I rambled a lot and went on a bunch of tangents. But of course I did. And keep gaming, guys. Keep talking about games. Keep writing about games. And keep being kind to each other. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. I'm not looking for agreement. I'm just looking for respect. And send Stephanie and Georgie some love. Please. Just they're my, what does Kotaku in Action call it? The promotion of the day. They're my promotion of the day. Send them some love. 'Cause it's been rough. Alright, guys.